Hey there, fish keepers. Dean here. I'm just gonna go over my Celestial Pearl Danio continuous breeding setup here. I've had it set up for about 4 years. It was originally set up as a breeding tank for blue dream shrimp, which didn't turn out, so I changed it over to CPDs. Planted it pretty thick so that they could raise some fry in there, and they've been doing pretty good, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. Get a lot of natural behavior in it, and it's going along pretty good. It's changed over the last year. You can see here the males are pretty much constantly sparring for the attention of the females in the best place, which is under the root, which is right in the middle of the tank. And these guys here are both the two dominant males. There's basically the two males that dominate the tank. One kind of hides out in the back of the tank, and the other one is under that root. And I think the under the root spot is the best spot because it seems like they spawn on top of the root where there's a bit of subwassertang that is right underneath some flow from the hang on back filter there, and I've watched them spawn there lots. So he's got the best spot, but the other male's got a pretty good spot too, kind of towards the back of the tank. And every once in a while, these guys go at it, but they don't seem to do any damage. Anyways, with the continuous breeding setup, there's always a lot of little fry kicking around the top part of the tank. So the bigger fish seem to just hang around the bottom and the mid sections of the tank, and then you got kind of the medium-sized ones are about 3/4 of the way up the tank, and then you got the teeny tinies that are up high. And I feed them brine shrimp and Tetra tropical granules and microworms, and they seem to do pretty good. You get a range of foods in there. So now the fry are growing up in the tank, and there's some that get eaten. This is on the other side of the tank, and there's always lots of little guys in this section here, and there's not really a lot of cover. So, but they seem to evade their parents and brothers, older brothers and sisters, pretty well. So it's actually way easier for me to scoop them out of here in this part here because it's not quite as thick. And as a general rule, there's way more that hang out in this area too. So they're pretty easy to catch. Um, Now I've kind of been leaving them um, to grow in that tank, and there's a little bit of predation on them. Before, earlier in the summer in 2022, I was taking them out and putting them into my 70 gallon. I probably had, I don't know, probably around 100 of them in there. And even though the focus is not too good on that one, there's a bunch of those guys in there, and plenty of hydra too, because I was feeding them pretty heavy with brine shrimp and microworms in that tank. But now I've since then I've thinned out that tank a bit so you can actually see it quite a bit better from the front. It's easier for viewing, and there's still lots of fry being born in it, but it's way funner to watch now because you can see what's going on a lot better. You can see the male, the real dominant male, is in that right in the center of the screen there. There's a bit of a hollow in there underneath some roots, and he pretty much keeps everybody away from there except for any females that he likes to come around. But these guys here, I just fed brine shrimp probably about 20 minutes before I took the video, and they're just picking up little brine shrimp off the bottom um, that had evaded them in the first place. And they're pretty cool to watch when they're doing this because you get a lot of activity going on down around the bottom, and you can't even hardly see any of the smaller fish in this shot here. The big guys seem to take over when it comes to getting to the food. When there's just a little bit remaining, they take over, and all the littler guys stay away while these guys have their fill. And while I was filming this, there was a lot of sparring before this little episode here with the dominant male and some of the other males that were coming in. But so I figured I'd try and capture some of it, but didn't get too much of him duking it out with the other males that are in there. But you can see him; he's kind of just always hanging in the back behind those plants there, kind of chasing everybody away. I think he's most interested in getting brine shrimp right now, rather than even defending the brine shrimp territory from other fish that come around. So he's not really looking to spawn; he's more so looking to eat. But he'll come out. I can see him there kicking around in the back, and yeah, he's a really pretty fish. They just show a lot of natural behavior in this tank. It's about a 20-gallon tank. It's low tech. It doesn't. It's got a couple of root tabs in it. When I first set it up like 4 years ago, I don't know how much they're really contributing anymore, but it it's grown crypts really good. There's lots of subwassertang in there, some bucephalandra, a little bit of pennywort, and but I think the main thing that's making it so that you can have a few baby fish growing up in there is that it's pretty dense with subwassertang in parts, and I think that the fry are able to escape in those areas there, and it's makes for a lot of hiding places and keeps the fish super comfortable. So if you see, Celestial Pearl Danios in the pet stores, you'll often see that they're skinny, and these guys are not skinny at all, but also they're all hiding underneath a corner filter in the corner of the tank, so you can barely see them, look washed out. But I'm just going to pan up to the um, smaller guys that are up there, and you see it's kind of a gradation of fish. So you get a little bit smaller ones on the way up, and then if you look towards the back corner there, you can see all the little peewees that are not getting any of the leftover brine shrimp at all, but they got their fill earlier in the night. Um, so it makes for a pretty entertaining tank. Like the whole water column is filled with CPDs doing their thing. Lots of duking it out between the bigger males, and but you get to watch the little guys too as they're growing up. So I'm sure there's lots of predation on the tiny guys in here, but I just can't raise that many CPDs. I haven't got enough tank space to keep up with the breeding with these guys. So that's my Celestial Pearl Danio continuous breeding setup. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy fish keeping.